Afternoon, boss.
Can you hear in the back? Up? I'll move closer. No, I won't. All right, we'll try it again now. Can everybody hear? Can you hear back there, Andy? Okay. Well, I see a lot of friendly faces out there, and I see some not so friendly faces out there. But I'd like to welcome all of you to the meeting tonight. I want to thank you for coming out on a night that's not the best weather. It's snowing and raining, and I know it took some effort to get out here. And I'd like to thank you for coming out to gather more information. I'm Larry Kelling, and this is the town hall meeting for the Citizens Association for Responsible Education. If this is not the meeting you're supposed to be at, you know, then we better head for another meeting. But that's where we're supposed to be, is right here. I would like to make some introductions of the CARE 5 committee. Some of the people that are on our committee, this is a few of the people, is Gary Ackles, Jean and Ina Novak, Don Skabinski, Lana Kohler, Ellen Novak, Eleanor Kelling, Clay Burgess, Richard and Joyce Fowler, Barney Petersons, the Gene Bredhauers, and there's a lot more people that are involved in that. This is just a few that we've been working with right close. I'd like to thank Steph Baker for the sound system that we're using. And Steph told me that if the sound system has problems, he said, then thank Rich Klemek for the sound system that we're using. I'd like to put forth a few ground rules tonight. One is there's going to be several speakers that are going to present some information. And after the presentation, we will open the floor for question and answers. And we ask that you don't interrupt the speakers. Now this will probably last for maybe 1, maybe 2 hours, what we're looking at here this evening. So you can feel free to leave, get up, whatever you like. And when I look at this, I really think that we have some good information. I think the information needs to get out there, but I think that it needs to be done in a civil and a courteous manner. And with that, I'd like to turn it over. Well, first, you know, this campaign kind of reminds me of a story of O'Malley and Sven. Now, O'Malley was an Irishman, and they had this piece of steak that they both were looking at, and they were eyeing it, and they kind of wanted it. And, well, there was only one piece of meat there. So O'Malley comes up with this idea. He says, well, he says, you know, I think what we ought to do, he says, is we'll each grab a hold of this, we'll put it in our mouths, and he says, and then we'll both pull, and whatever we get out of this, he said, you know, that's what the guy gets. So he puts a piece of it in his mouth, and he's glaring at it. So then he gets it in his mouth, says, yeah, I think this is a pretty good idea. They look at that, and they're looking at each other, and they're just going after each other, and he says, are you ready, laddie? And Sven says, yeah. I think the moral of the story is you have to be careful what you say "yeah" to. I'd like to introduce Richard Fowler now.
Thank you, Larry. Can all of you hear in the back? Are you're still not being able to hear real good? How about if I back up and we'll speak a little louder? We don't want to get too much feedback here. Can you hear and understand? Okay, I'll do my best. First of all, I would like to welcome each and every one of you here tonight. You know, the good Lord made every one of us different for a reason. And differences of opinion are not necessarily a huge problem. It's when people start getting at each other's throats that it becomes a problem. Tonight, we welcome you. There's going to be some good information. I'm excited to hear it myself because I know there's going to be some new information coming out. This evening, I count it a real privilege to introduce to you a gentleman who, first of all, is a Christian. He is a faithful husband to his wife, Deb. He is a loving father to his children. He is a graduate of Iowa State University. I'm sorry?
Go State. You play the Huskers Saturday.
Oh, okay. Did you hear that?
Bye-bye.
Somebody needs to say go Big Red, I think. Anyway, graduate of Iowa State University. He's a former half owner of an Iowa community bank, a former owner of a bank management consulting company, and was aggressively recruited by the owner of First National Bank of Omaha, but Paul turned him down. At the end of his banking career, he wrote an article published in a Northwestern Financial Review. He was highly critical of the banking regulatory system and forecast the troubling banking days that we are now seeing. He is the founder of a pro-life ministry. Nearly 8 years ago, he founded Copperhead Consulting Services and has assisted in some 60 such campaigns as we're in the middle of here. His clients have organized to defeat 50 of those 60 unnecessary bonds and levies. He has served on the campaign staff of a presidential candidate as well as field coordinator of a congressman, serving in Iowa, Minnesota, and South Carolina. By the time you leave tonight, you will know that he is not the person that a local organization that boasts of putting kids first has maliciously painted him to be. Accusations never establish facts. Let me introduce to you tonight a true friend of the kids of Valley County. Let us welcome Mr. Paul Dorr.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Larry, Ellen, Alan, and the rest of the committee. It's my privilege to be out here with you tonight and talk about the vote that's before you folks. It's been my privilege to work with the CARE Committee in their campaign, and it's one of the things I continually tell my wife when I get done. I get to meet some of the best people in the Midwest in these campaigns, some of the most salt-of-the-earth, conscientious, hardworking people across the country. There's a lot of those in the proponent side as well, but it's been my privilege that the character and the type of people I've met here do exist all through this upper Midwest of our country. I'm having the first part of it, and then from there, each of the various CARE committee members are going to stand up and start fleshing this all out. But first of all, I'd like to answer the question in the ad. What is a copperhead? What is a copperhead? One lady on the committee knows her 19th century history. With that clue, does anybody else know what a copperhead is? That's the obvious one. I've never seen a copperhead snake. Never held a copperhead snake. Took a garter snake out of my wife's garden one time, but beyond that, we don't have snakes back in Iowa. Copperheads were a political movement in the 19th century. They were the hard money people that were a faction of the Democratic Party. I worked for a Republican presidential candidate in 2007, 2008, but in the 19th century I would have been a Democrat. I would have been a Copperhead Democrat. because the Copperheads organized across the northern part of the United States to stop the coalition that was building